Hi everyone, my name is Nitya and you are at Daybreak Stitchery, which is my Flosstube channel. This is a channel all about cross stitch, and we're right at the end of the month, which is when I check in and just kind of show you some of the things I've been working on this month, and we just sit and have a little chat about cross stitch. So thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in, and I love chatting about this stuff. I hope you love hearing about it. I think we ought to just get going. I want to throw in a real quick thank you to everybody who, I can't believe it just feels like a distant memory now, but everyone who joined in on the Stitch and Chat that I held at the beginning of the month for Expanding Lives. It was really wonderful. I feel like it was a really positive event, and we heard so many great stories, and it was really good to talk with Leslie and also Rose, who works for the Peace Corps in Togo. So they had lots to share with us. And we've raised over $1,000. I didn't write down the exact amount here, but I'm going to try to put up an image that I shared during the Stitch and Chat, just with some stats and different information there. So that should have the amount on it. But thank you so much if you donated, and thank you so much if you attended. And I apologize because I haven't mailed out the giveaway items yet. It's going to happen. Sorry for the delay on that, but let me know if you donated and you want to have access to I recorded it. So if you donated, technically anyone who donated was able to attend that event, but you may not have been able to. It was the same weekend as Stitch North, and or a Zoom thing might not have been your thing. So if you're interested in getting a copy of the recording, just let me know, message me down below, or if you know me on Instagram, you can find me there, message me, and I can send you a link. I can get your Google address and send you a link to it, and you can check it out. I have some kind of ideas for where to take the project next based on some things we heard at that meeting. So once I get some stuff sorted out, we'll talk about that. Okay, we should get right into it, because I thought I would only have like 5 or 6 projects to show you, but then I was making a list of everything I worked on this month, and there's tons as usual. So I'm going to grab a finish to show you, and then I'm going to be right back. Okay, so believe it or not, I've got a finish to show you. This was totally unexpected. It is a tribute to women in cycling, and okay, what's it on? It's on 18 count Luminous Warmth by Fortnite Fabrics. Isn't that so pretty? It's a kind of a mottled yellow. Nice cloud. It looks like a yellow sky almost with clouds in it. So nice. It's 18 count. And this is a combo of a whole bunch of different patterns. So the quote says, "Pour que chaque femme puisse découvrir combien le vélo change la vie. May every woman discover how life-changing cycling can be." And it's a quote by Louise Roussel, who is a French kind of amateur cyclist, and she wrote a book on empowerment through cycling. And she interviewed a bunch of famous female cyclists, and it was really interesting book. So this was in honor of the Tour de France Femmes last year, the women's Tour de France, that was kind of kicked up after not being run for a few years. I wanted to stitch something last year, so I started this in honor of that. And then this month I was watching some cycling with Steve, and so I picked it up again, and I ended up finishing it during there's a race in France called Paris-Roubaix, and so we watched that one day together, and I stitched on it and I finished it. So the cycle is a free pattern by Brigitte Dadaux, and I'll link she's got a blog with this pattern, I think is how I found it. So I'll link that below. The fonts here are, they're a Lord Libidan font. They're, I want to say it's 10 stitches high. If you look at Lord Libidan's website, he's got a whole bunch of free fonts, and they're organized by height. So I think the smallest one is 5 stitches high, and then it goes up from there. So this is the one that's 10 stitches high. It's kind of nice because then if you know the height, you can sort of plan, like if you're doing some impromptu quote stitching, you can be a little bit organized about it and plan a little bit, how much space you have and what size font you can actually fit into that space. And then the word vélo down here in gray, vélo is the French word for bike. That kind of scripty, that scripty text font comes from KristyPatterns on Etsy. I had picked up from them a set of 10, it's called 10 small fonts, a set of 10 small fonts. And that's a really nice set that I turn to all the time for font stitching. So it's got some like really pretty, it's got a pretty scripty font like this. It's got some more like kind of Helvetica sort of fonts like this. It's got serif and sans serif. It's got just like a variety of different small fonts. So I use that one for that. And then the threads are all Color and Cotton Thread Club. They're old pics from a thread club from last summer. So this beautiful blue, are you seeing some lovely variegation in that? Kind of, it's very gentle variegation. That's Admiral Blue. I just love it. I want to stitch like a whole something with that blue. So that's Admiral Blue. This red is Amaryllis, which is a very pretty, it's a subtle kind of pinky salmony red. That's very, very pretty. And then the gray is Fossil, also a really pretty color. So I'm pretty happy with this. So I'll probably frame it. I don't know exactly how I'm going to finish it. It'll probably be framed and hung up so that we will see. It's not fully finished yet, so I'll work on that. That's all. I think that's all I'm going to say about this. And then I have another finish to show. Oh, I know what I was going to say about this. It was just a little, I have so many tangents. I've been thinking about like, should I tell them about this? Should I not? It's whatever. It's no big deal. I was just kind of chuckling to myself because I was thinking of my friend Melanie. We had tea this month and we were both kind of talking about how we want to do a better job of sharing in our partner's interests. So like, and a lot of it comes to like media that we watch, like things that we watch on TV. Like both of us have partners that are very accommodating when it comes to watching what we want. So that's why this whole month I was like, I want to watch something that Steve enjoys watching. And so this cycling came up and of course I had to do some stitching during that. So that was good. It was a nice day. It was a really good race. Part of that race, Paris-Roubaix, the thing that's interesting, you wouldn't think that cycling would be interesting to watch, but it's actually very interesting to watch. That race is wacky. Here are the colors, by the way, Color and Cotton colors. That race is wacky because it's between two cities in France and like sections of it, they're called either like secteur pavé or section pavé. They're sections of it that are on cobblestones. So like they'll just be riding along, so like zip riding along like a main road. And then all of a sudden they'll hit one of these cobblestone sections and it's just like mayhem. There's like, they kick up this huge cloud of dust and then like there's just like massive accidents and like the crowd gets in really tight. There are things that happen with the crowd getting in the way this year. And it actually is kind of interesting to watch. So that was a good experience and there will probably be more cycle viewing and stitching in my future. So that was one finish. The other finish, I actually do have another finish to show you, and I'm going to try to put a picture of it here while I talk about it, because this was technically I finished it last month. I couldn't show it though because it's a gift stitching for a stitchy friend of mine. This was for Carly, who's Veggie Stitches on Flosstube, who, if you aren't watching, like seriously, what are you waiting for? Just get on over to Carly's channel. Carly does like fantastic cross stitch and some beautiful, like just jaw-droppingly beautiful knitting too. And Carly's getting in a lot into like fiber dyeing, or has been, and is doing more. And so Carly's doing a dye garden. So I saw these sunflower seeds that are used for dyeing that I wanted to send to Carly. And of course I couldn't, I was looking and I said, well, I can't send something to a stitchy friend and not send stitching. So I wanted to look for some stitching to do. So these are sunflowers from Cottage Garden Samplings. I had the wrong designer in my last video. Cottage Garden Samplings. And it's two of the sunflowers from the Beezy Spring pattern, which I don't have up here to show you. So I'll try to put in a picture of that as well. I was kind of digging through my stash of patterns just to see, surely I figured I must have a sunflower to stitch because I tend to stitch a lot of floral things. So I found that one. So I just decided to stitch those. And they come from all the threads were from Stash. So I didn't use the called for. I didn't have the called for. So I just picked. I think the green is a Silks for You kind of skein that came in a grab bag. There's some DMC in there. The oranges are DMC, oranges and yellows. The brown, and then that's DMC too. And then one of the yellows is a gentle art, which I'm actually going to show you later because it's part of a whip that I'm working on too. So those were a couple of nice finishes. It's nice to have a couple of finishes going because you feel like I work on so many pieces each month, but I feel like each one is sort of inching to some progress, but it's nice to have one that's actually done. Okay, I got a whole bunch of whips to show you. Let me go grab those and I will be right back. Okay, whips. I have a bunch that I've kind of been like poking at all month. So let me show you a few. Okay, you're gonna know this one. This is Tokapu by PeruvianFlair. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. It's it's a set of indigenous motifs from Peru, designed by Ana Aguayo, who's PeruvianFlair, who's just a fantastic person and very cool designer. So I love this pattern. And this one I kind of, I wouldn't say that I 25/7 it because I'm not consistent at all, but this is one that I occasionally pick up like in an evening when I know I have to work on like a whip go project. Before I tuck into my whip go project, I'll pick this up and like do a strand on it. So I've done a little bit. It's just kind of, I'm chipping away at it. So this month you can see I was working on this purple to black border. That's a Valdani cotton. I want to say it's something night, dark night or something maybe. I don't remember all the colors here. The red is Ruby Slipper by Gentle Art. The brown is Burlap by Gentle Art. Both of those are really, really pretty. I love those two colors. And I first used those two colors when I was doing that Blackbird Designs piece up there. They're in that one. That's Basket of Cherries. So those colors stuck with me. So I used them here. The black to purple transition, like I said, is a Valdani cotton. And then this kind of beige to white is also a Valdani cotton. I think it's called Subtle Elegance, that one. So those are the four colors I'm using. And I really enjoy this one. I think it's so fun to stitch. I'm using 3 strands and it's on a random, it doesn't have a name, the fabric. It's a kind of a random grab bag piece from XJU Design. So I feel like it's offering a nice backdrop to these colors. And yeah, just keep chipping away at that one. This is 28 count, so I tend to use 3 strands on 28 count. I like really like full coverage on my stitches. So that's what's happening with that. Next one is one of my Whip Go pieces. This is Ink Circles Squirrels of Sumatra. And I spent most of the month on this one. So let me just show you. I need to hold it with 2 hands now. It's getting to be large enough. So here we go. Just hold it here for a second and then I'll show you some close-ups too. So I don't know if you're catching, are you seeing the whole thing? I think so. I made it all the way around the border. So I finished up, I had this bottom corner. Here, I'll show you close up. Like I needed to do this side down here and have it meet this corner here. So I met the corners and then here, this part I'm showing you on everything you see on the screen right here. That was all this month. I worked in that whole section this month. So it's progress, but I'm not very organized about working on this project. I get distracted easily with motifs. I think like the busyness of it makes me curious to want to try every single motif. So I'll do like a little bit of one motif, just enough to get over to the next motif. And then I'll want to start that one, but I haven't finished the one before it. So I'm going to need to do like a really big accounting of stitches on this. I already started actually. I made like a photocopy working copy of this page down here. And I just started highlighting like everything that I've done. So I'm going to have to go motif by motif and just start like figuring out what did I actually do and what am I missing so that I can catch up on. Like, is there a single motif that's done? Yeah, this one I finished. This motif is completely done. And like this one here is completely done. This one here is completely done. So bits of it are completely done, but I've also left like almost all of these motifs here are incomplete. I need to go back and work on those. So, and then I haven't even touched like down here. It's kind of nice. It's like a mini border sampler here. These are all different little borders. So I didn't even touch anything in this panel this month. So that'll be for next time. This one did not get called up for my Whipco pick for May. So I won't be working on it this month. Or actually, that's not true. I might work on it because there were 3 numbers called for Whipco, and one of them was the center space 13. So on my space 13, I said, spend 5 days working on any of the pieces, working on something from my Whipco board. So I may just pull this out just because I'm getting so close. I would actually, my next step I would like to do besides an accounting of stitches is to revisit these borders and see if I can't start like getting one of these borders across. So we will see about that. I'm also thinking a lot. I think I need to spend some time on Tracy Horner's blog. I want to see if there's any more background information on the pattern itself, because I've been thinking a lot about, stitching other cultures and just making sure that I feel informed while I stitch so that I'm not just stitching a pattern and not, learning something about the culture. So I thought there was more cultural information listed in the description, like the narrative that was provided in the pattern. But actually, a lot of that description is about the physical textile itself. So this pattern is based on a Indonesian traditional textile, like an old textile that was from a museum. And so I thought there was some cultural information about this, but actually it was just information about the textile. So anyway, I'm still doing some cultural research on that. We're going to see how that goes. I'll keep you posted on that. Okay, next one is, this is the heart sampler. I'll have to put up a picture for you of this one. So this is by Bad Vibes Only on Etsy. And this is the one that I'm stitching occasionally when I Zoom and stitch with an old acquaintance of mine, an old friend of mine, Priya, from childhood. We kind of reconnect. We reconnect on and off through life. And then right now we're selling this together. Let me know if you're stitching it too. I wonder if I would love to meet more people who are stitching on this. So this does not really look like anything right now because we both wanted to start on there's like an anatomical heart that goes right here. And we both wanted to stitch on that. Oh, I'm going to take a quick pause because I didn't give you any fabric or thread information on my squirrels. So let me do that real quick. This is on 18 count Ada. This is Picture This Plus Mystic. I'm a big Picture This Plus fan. I love all their fabrics. And the thread is sulky. It's 4044, which is butterscotch. And so sulky is really thick. So I'm just using one strand to cover this. I personally feel like sulky doesn't look good on all 18 count fabrics. So I think it works on this because this must be actually more like a 19 count or something because of the dark fabric dye. So the coverage is really, really nice on this. There's no fabric poking through, but I have tried sulky on some other 18 counts and have been not as enthused about it. So I think I've tried it on a 20 count and it looks pretty good on a 20 count. So it's like between an 18 and 20 count is like a sweet spot for me, I think, with sulky. Okay, back to heart sampler. So we were both going to start on this anatomical heart motif in the center, but it's really challenging. It's basically doing a little mini full coverage because the stitches are kind of sporadic. There's like a little bit gradation going on. So I did a little bit and then I gave up. Plus we're like chatting the whole time because I only take this out when I'm Zoom chatting with Priya. So I just said, okay, I'm moving over to the borders because I can do that while I'm stitching. And it feels like you're accomplishing a lot more. So this month I finished out this border here, and then I went into this top border here. And I am just using, I grabbed a bunch of different pinks and reds from Stash, and that's what I'm using. So like this faded pink that's going on here, isn't that so nice? That's a color in cotton. I want to say it's dried chili. This red, this like variegated kind of dark to light red, that's the DMC, oh gosh, is it 115? It's that beautiful variegated red that's DMC. I think it's DMC 115. What's this one? I think this is a Silks for You, but I'm not remembering what this dark pink is right here. I don't remember. If I look at my project bag, I just like stuffed a bunch of reds and pinks in there, and I just grab, whenever I'm doing a new motif, like this border here is done, right? So when I was choosing this color on the pattern, it says it's pink. So I just pick like a few strands of whatever random pink I have in my bag with the goal of finishing just that motif. And then like up here, it's red. So now I'm choosing, I think this is again DMC 115 because I have enough of that. So I'm choosing as I go for that one. So that's a nice one. I got to touch base with Priya because it's been a couple weeks since we've chatted and stitched on that. So that was, it's by Bad Vibes Only. Kit is the designer on that one. And that's a fantastic pattern. And she said she was going to work on more patterns, and I can't wait to see what else she comes up with. Okay. I picked up Half the Fun by Ink Circles. This is a whip for me. I started it last year, and I picked it up because I was, in preparation for watching cycling with Steve, my partner. I picked up just a few projects that have cycles on them, like some of my whips that have cycles on them, with the idea that like, okay, maybe I would like do a little mini rotation while watching the race. But then I got on the kick with finishing that Louise Roussel quote. So this was still behind the couch from after watching the race. So I thought, well, go ahead and maybe work on that a little bit. It is so tiny. It's, I don't have the stitch count in front of me, but like a lot of the square patterns by Ink Circles are 115 by 115 stitches or a perfect square. This one is smaller than that. It could be like 90 by 90 even. It's really, really tiny. And it's the same motifs. So like, it's almost like a pinwheel, because it's the same, like this corner, this hot air balloon out to this airplane, that gets repeated 4 times. So you almost start to get used to the motifs and the spacing a little bit, which is kind of nice. I'm doing this on a 40 count. Picture this plus. Looks like this. I'll hold it up a little closer. Let me make sure you're seeing it. There we go. This is feldspar. Actually, I better hold it back so you can see the fabric a little bit. Isn't that so nice? This is another kind of cloudy day fabric. So pretty. It's white, but it's got like a light blue modeling and like an occasional beige modeling on there too. Very, very pretty. It looks like a sky to me, and I think that's what drew me towards stitching this pattern on it, because there are a lot of kind of air flight related motifs on this one. So I made quite a bit of progress. I stitched on this evenings one week. So I want to say I did, let me see if I can identify what I did. Like this, the whole top, basically this whole top part is what I did this month. And I wanted to keep going on. For a little while, I thought, oh, I could actually like finish this out. It's doable, but I ran out of thread. It's, what am I using? I wrote it down. Let me look. It's DMC 4240. It's Midsummer Night. So it's a very pretty blue to purple variegation. You can kind of see it there if you look. Oh, that's a good view because it's getting the side of a window next to me. It's a pretty cloudy day today. We've had a lot of gray skies and rain with our spring, but spring is finally here, which I'm happy about. So this is DMC 4240, pretty blues and purples in this one. It's a navy blue, a bright purple, and like a royal blue. That's what it's doing. So I need to get more of the DMC. I used it all up. So we'll get more of that and keep chipping away at that one. Okay. Next whip is my other whip go pick for this month. It's my Modern Folk Embroidery 2021 Stitchalong. Here we go. And it's coming together. I have one more day I need to stitch on this to meet my 5-day goal. I worked on, let me walk you down here, this area down here. So like this bottom half I've been working on. Let me hold it up a little closer so you can see that. So this is on a fabric I don't talk about, but it's 18 count. And it's, the thread is Threadworks. Did I pick one out? Yeah, I picked a skein out that I'll show you a skein in just a second. It's Threadworks Desert Sunset. The number is 1042. So Threadworks threads come with numbers, but they do have names. You just have to Google the names because they're not printed on the packaging. It's a very pretty, like a rusty orange to dark brown variegation, and I love it. I have like no rhyme or reason with, you know, how the variegation goes. I just kind of do whatever, go in whatever direction and do whatever. I mostly go I shimmy side to side for a little bit, and then I'll go over here and shimmy side to side for a little bit back and forth. So that's kind of what it's looking like there. That's real pretty, isn't it? I'll show you, I'll scan over some of the other things I'm doing. So, a few of the motifs will be in that bright blue, which is Caribbean blue, I think. It's a DMC color variations. So this motif here that I'm showing you, let me fold it a bit smaller and I'll show it closer up. So like this flower vase, that's exactly what I want to do with all of the medallions in this pattern. I want to have it mostly in Desert Sunset, the orangey browns, with a few accents in that Caribbean blue. So I think that's what I want to do with it. So like in this, the negative stitching that's going on here, that's all going to come out, and I'm going to make that this same Desert Sunset color because that stands out, the contrast stands out much better. So very excited about that. I love, my favorite part of stitching this, I actually flushed out a lot of it. Like this section I completed almost. There are a few little bits I have to finish. I really love this negative stitching on here. It's kind of like a little puzzle. You know, you're like putting stitches in, and then all of a sudden you take a look at it and there's a beautiful, like a floral motif or a leaf or a berry or something. You don't see it until it's done, you know? I love that one a lot. So that one did not get called for May, but it may be one of the things I work on for my center square on my whip go board, where I get to pick something from my whip go board to work on a little bit. This is what the Threadworks skein looks like. So it's 1042, and see that? Isn't that so nice? Now, I don't pay attention to dye lots as well as I should. So I've had to order, like I had 2 skeins to start with, and then I ordered a few more, and there's a slight difference in dye lot, but it'll be fine, I think. Just because they're all in the same color family, I think it'll still work out okay. It'll all still be like oranges and browns, even though they're like a tiny bit off. Or also it's like, sometimes it seems like the balance of colors is a little different. Like in the earlier skeins that I got, there seemed to be a different lengths of the brighter tones before transitioning to the darker tones. So there's like little changes like that, but not enough to cause any problems. So that's good. Okay, so I can show you one more whip. This was another unexpected whip that I picked up. This I started way back. I mean, last year definitely. Bee Sampler. This is by Lila's Studio. Isn't it so cute? Look at all these pretty motifs, like those leaves in that center medallion. So pretty. And I picked this up because when I was doing the sunflowers for Carly, I was digging through, I didn't have a really good bright, one of the tones in that sunflower is just the happiest, sunniest yellow. And none of my DMC colors were cutting it. So I started going through all my whips, just trying to see, like, I must have something that kind of says that happy, bright, sunny tone to me. And it was in this, it's kitted up. There was a color kitted up with this. It's these bright yellows that you're seeing, like in the tulips right here, that bright yellow. It's not going to look like it because my camera is not super, but, and guess what that color is called when I pulled it out of the bag? It's called Sunflower. So is that not a perfect color to use on a sunflower motif? So of course I pulled it out. See that bright? It's like that goldenrod kind of bright tone. I love yellow and I love bright colors. So I had pulled this out to work on Carly's sunflowers, and then I had my bee sampler out anyway because I knew I wanted to return this back. So then I thought, well, why not just put a few stitches in there too? And it made me like fall back in love with this, which is what happens when you like pull up your old whips and just work on them for a little bit. You're like, oh yeah, I really love this one too. Isn't that just so pretty? So I haven't done very much. I did a little bit of DMC. This is 310 on here, just plain black. And then a little bit of this, like this motif here I'm working up here. That's, it's the second medallion. So it's here, I'll show you again. It's this medallion here, working on this part of it. And it's on, let me hold it back so you can get a better sense of the color, maybe. No, it's too bright. I think we're getting too bright here, but there you go. It's light ultraviolet, which is a color by XJU Design. And my only teeny tiny beef with a choice that I made on this is that it's a 32 count fabric. It's a very light colored 32 count fabric. So for me, it stitches up more like a 28 count, which means I need 3 strands to get good coverage, which is fine, except that when you're using fancy flosses, it really eats up a lot of floss. So the DMC 310 is going to be fine. I'll do as much of that as I can. I have plenty of 310, but I know I'm going to run out of the sunflower. And then what's the other color? Do I have it? It's mustard seed. It's in the packaging, so I won't take it out. But that kind of, there are a couple of yellows there, right? There's that brighter tone is that sunflower. And then the one that's up here in this tulip, that's that mustard seed. But wouldn't you say that all 3 of these colors look really lovely on that light blue? I love it. So I kind of want to stick my behind the couch box. So I had this behind the couch box when I did my whip parade back in December. I said, okay, I'm only going to put like my whip go projects in here, my 5 whip go projects, and then like a few small things that I could like chip away at. Well, now that box is so overflowing. I have like all kinds of like all my many new starts that I said I wasn't going to do, but I'm doing. They're all in there. So I need to finish something already, but this is a good contender for that because I feel like it's, it doesn't look very large. Do I have a stitch count on it? Let me see if I can pull a stitch count. Oh no, it's all folded up. I want to say it's like not very wide, but it is kind of long. I think that's what it is. Because it's got, are we seeing the most of it? Yeah, I mean, this is it. What we're seeing on that pillow is it. So it's like these main medallions and then this little thing right here, this little row of medallions here, and then those few little motifs up top. So it's not super wide. It might even be less than 100 wide, but it is long. But I'll keep going with that. Okay, those were my whips. So shall we do some new starts? I'm going to stop, take a beverage break, and then I will be right back and I'll show you some new starts. We got some good stuff coming up here. Okay, everybody. Well, you know, we're going to talk about new starts. You know me too well. So I have 3 to show you. Okay, so let's do it. So that darn StitchManDarcy put out a pattern that right away kind of caught my eye. Here's what it looks like so far. It's a quote by Aldous Huxley. Let me see if I can remember the rest of it. The more powerful and original a mind, the more it will incline towards the religion of solitude. I think that's what it is. And I loved several things about this pattern. I thought the quote was interesting, but it was really these borders. You got to check out, hang on, what am I showing you? Are you seeing that border? It's like these changing browns, these alternating brown tones. It is so beautiful. And those leaves in the corners, there's going to be a couple of leaves there and then a couple on the other side, I think. I'll see if I can put up a picture of what it's supposed to look like. But here's what I've got so far. There's a bird in there, and it kind of hits my Halloween. I enjoy Halloween stitching, so it kind of almost feels like that, sort of like an Edgar Allan Poe look to it almost. So the fabric, did I point out fabric on everything else? Yeah, I did. The fabric I'm going with, this is a 40 count. Picture this plus, it's Nocturne, and oh my goodness, do I love this color. It is like a beautiful bluish gray, dark bluish gray. It is so, so pretty. It would be so cool to stitch all kinds of stuff on this. Like I bet white would look at the white on the serging on the end. White sticks out really pretty on this. That'd be pretty. A lot of colors would look really nice on this, I think. It almost, I mean, in some light when you look at it, it looks gray. It won't show on there because it's all going to be washed out in my video. But when I look at like the way I'm looking at it right now with the sunlight on it, it looks gray. But in some lights, it looks blue too. So pretty. I'm not using all of the called for colors. It's DMC. It's charted in DMC because I don't have all of those. So I'm using what I have. Here's a good view of it, I think. I'm struggling with where to put my pieces today so that you can see them without being kind of washed out by the light. But so I think this, yeah, people coming next door. This is, I think, a good match for the colors that are called for because it's a couple of shades of brown and then DMC 310. So I chose a lighter brown and a darker brown, and then you can still see the contrast of them fairly well. So I think that'll work. So that's a fun one to start, and it's working up pretty quick. This is like the top quarter of it. So there are 2 more quarters of it. So that should be a fun one to do. I'm using 2 strands. Was this 40 count? Yeah, I'm using 2 strands on 40 count. I like it. I like the fullness of it. The only bit that gets a little tricky is there are some parts that are really filled in, like where I'm stitching the word solitude here, all that fill in gets a bit finicky to do. It's pretty tight stitching in there, but it's happening. It's going and it's happening. There's another block of it in the pattern. I think like the at the very bottom where all this Huxley's name is, that's also filled in. I may try to experiment with just 1 strand on that one. We'll see. That's a fun one. I don't remember if the pattern is called Religion of Solitude. It might be, or just Solitude. I don't remember what it's called. Anyway, it's a really fun one to stitch. Oh, there are 3 browns actually here. I have the color palette right here. I'm using 3371. I pulled this from my Dreaming Girl. That's the one I'm using for my hair on my Barbara Anna Dreaming Girl. 838. So it's 3 browns, the dark, medium, and a light. And then 433 I'm using for the lightest one. And then I have some DMC 310 here. So that's nice. I like how it's looking. It's kind of like, I think the other thing that drew me to it is it's also kind of Steve's colors a little bit, because I enjoy really bright colors, and his color palette is always like gray, navy, and brown and black, and that's it. Those are the colors. That's all. So when I saw those, I thought, ooh, that could, like, that kind of, we can have something on our wall that's for him too. Okay. I was supposed to wait to start this one. I will throw a picture of it up. It is supposed to be my reward start for when I finish one of my big projects, but I got impatient and I've been really tired and overworked this month, and I wanted to start it, so I just did. Let's see how it looks when I hold it up. This is Marigold by Sarah, who is ModCross. Sarah is my lovely stitchy friend, and I just love this pattern so much. It's so good. So it's a pattern where if you hold it up real close, let me hold it up closer. Oh, look at those colors. Aren't those colors amazing? They're so bright and beautiful. So it's a marigold. It's a picture of a marigold that Sarah took from her garden, and then she charted it. And she sells it on Etsy. You can get it at ModCross on Etsy. And it's got beautiful gradients in it. So there are about 7 colors, I think, in this pattern. So, and I've used all 7 so far. So they're all in here. But if you get in really closer, it kind of distorts. It's just like pixel art. When you get in really close, you don't see what's the gradients as well. But when you hold it back, oh my gosh, it's so pretty. So lovely. So what am I using? I'm using the called for DMC. It's all charted in DMC. And this is 32 count Woodland by Picture This Plus. Now, this is a 32 count fabric, but I suspect because of the darker dye job, it's shrunk a little bit more because I'm using 2 strands on this and it's awesome. The coverage is amazing. And on something like this that's full coverage, I feel like you kind of need really good coverage so that the fabric isn't poking through and you don't see it at all. So I think with these darker fabrics, 2 strands work just fine. I'm totally in love with this. I couldn't put this down. I picked it up and I spent, I think, 5 days on it, and then I just kept going for a little bit. It's so, so fun. And I think if you're a Pattern Keeper user, you'd use this with Pattern Keeper. I haven't been using Pattern Keeper as much because my device that I have it loaded on is it's a super cheap tablet. It's not very responsive. The touchpad is not very responsive. So I'm always having to really push down or repeatedly highlight things on there. So it's not as easy as I would like it to be. Also, in the location where I stitch, I don't have a good way to balance a device and my pattern and my stitching. So what I've been doing instead is my laptop, which I'm usually watching something on while stitching. I made a copy of the PDF that I got from Etsy, and I call it my working copy. I renamed it Working Copy Marigold. And then my PDF reader that I have on my computer, I have Foxit is the one that it's just the one that comes with my computer. That one I'm sure all the PDF readers probably have something similar. It has a highlighting feature. It's under one of the menus. It's not on the main menu, but you can highlight by it. When you select highlight, it changes into a plus sign. Use words. What are you saying? My cursor changes to a plus sign. And then if I zoom in on the pattern, I can basically box up the stitches that I want to highlight, and it will highlight them a different color. So that's what I've been doing. And you can change out the color of the highlights. So that's how I've been marking up this pattern. I will just I'll pick a section that I want to work on. I'll do color completion in that section, and I'll highlight all of those a certain color. And then I'll change the highlighter color and do whatever's next to it. So the gradients in this make it actually a really easy kind of mini full coverage piece to stitch on, because it's really easy to follow. It's not a lot of, what's it called? Is it confetti stitching when there's stitches all over the place that are different colors? It's not confetti. It's a whole set of stitches together will be one color. And then a whole set of stitches next to that will be another color. So it feels like a very organized color change. So I think it makes it easier to stitch on. So treat yourself to that. Check out that pattern and see I feel like this is a very good way to get your feet wet with full coverage stitching, a pattern like this, because this is so much easier than, I have a couple of really large full coverage. I'm not much of a full coverage stitcher. If you know me, you know that, but I do have a couple of full coverage pieces that I've started on 25 count easy grid, and I never go back to them because I know what's coming. It's the next part, my pattern that I'm on, it has so many little confetti bits. Just getting all my colors organized for it. I'm not very organized about it, and I have so many other things I want to stitch on. So I never really go back to my full coverage pieces. But things like this, I think this is a good happy medium where you can get the beautiful kind of photographic quality of a full coverage stitch without all the pain of the confetti stitching and all that. So super happy with this. Look at how much I got done this month. This is just what did I say? It's probably between 8 and 9 days of stitching. Some evenings and I put in a couple of weekends on this too. So I had a good amount of stitching time on that. So I love it. I would love to finish this soon. And then Sarah is working on another floral pattern. It's a pansy, and she's doing it on, remember my luminous warmth that I showed you earlier from my finish? That beautiful yellow sky. fabric. She's using that one, and it's going to be a pansy. And she's put some teaser photos out on, she's at ModCross on Instagram, and it's it's a pansy, right? So it's got all these beautiful purples in it on that yellow fabric. It looks amazing. I already want to do that one. I want to have them both hanging as like companion pieces together, like two, right, one next to the other. And I think I also want to do that one on the same woodland. I picked up 2 pieces of this woodland, just thinking I like the color. I like the dark color, but actually I think I'm going to save that other piece now for that pansy, Sarah. We're ready for it. So that again is ModCross. I'm linking everybody, I forgot to mention, but usually in my Flosstube notes, the description below, I list out everybody that I've mentioned and all the patterns I've mentioned. So you can go check it out there. Okay. I had one more new start, totally spontaneous new start. This is by Notorious Needle. And it's, I don't remember, you're going to know more than I will. I don't remember the designer's name for Notorious Needle, but she has started a Stitchalong, a pro-choice Stitchalong. And I love that. So I'm starting it. And I think a couple of the pieces are out now. I want to say it comes out there's a bit that comes out every week. So I'm not going to put a picture up because a lot of people who are doing this are keeping it a surprise. It is sort of a mystery stitch-along, meaning that before you sign up for it, and I think you can, it's a rolling, I think you can still sign up for it, maybe. But anyway, before signing up for it, there was a lot of information on the website. Again, it's Notorious Needle. And she gave the option. You could scroll all the way to the bottom of the page, and there were like several different options of spoilers for the pattern. And I wanted to see the whole pattern. I want to see it all. So I clicked on the one that had the full reveal of the pattern to decide if I wanted to do it or not. And I really love it. So there are other degrees of revealedness that you could have looked at to see, to get an idea if it's something you want to stitch with. I think like with some mystery samplers, you don't know, right? Like the mystery of it is nice, but then what if it's revealed and it's not something that's your style? So it was nice to be able to see this beforehand. So because some people are still keeping it kind of a week-to-week secret, I'm not going to put a picture up. But to me, it reminds me a lot of like the graphic look of a Stitchrovia pattern. It's got a lot of that going on. And then it has, there's like sections revealed each week. So there will be different stuff going on in each section. So this is obviously the word body that's coming together, and choice is right underneath. It's going to say my body, my choice so far. Yeah, so that's what I've got. Can I just show you the color palette? You have to see the color palette for this. It's so bright and beautiful. I will hold up. I can't hold them up. But let me see. Can I hold them all? Look at all these colors. All these pinks and like these different teal. You know, I like a teal. 3808. My buddy 3808 is sitting there. All these beautiful purples. I love this. This is DMC 35. So pretty. That is begging to be a monochromatic sampler somewhere. Yeah, different purples and greens, blues. So, so pretty. So it's going to be like bright and in your face. I love that. That, the word choice that's coming up there, that's that DMC 35. So you can get a feel for what, and like the shadow stitching in here, that's that DMC 35 too. Now I have no idea what this fabric is. I lost the label for it. I kind of think it's, I think I had Brown Sugar by Fiber on a Whim. I think it was called Brown Sugar. Look at that. Isn't that pretty? I think it's Brown Sugar by Fiber on a Whim, but don't hold me to it because I still haven't found the label. I've misplaced it somewhere. So I think that's going to be good. I kind of chose it because I feel like it's a body color. It's a skin color, kind of, the brown of it. So that's kind of what I was going for. But yeah, I think it'll hold up to all those colors too. Like even this is the brightest pink, and I think that'll be, let's hold it up to, where's our light? See, that's going to be okay, I think, on there. So So that's been a fun one to kind of to start and poke at. And I meant to look this up before talking with you, but is color therapy just like a term that's thrown around, or is it actual a thing? Like, can your mood or your mental health be influenced by looking at color? Because I feel like so much of cross stitch is that, don't you think? I like the joy, the instant perk up of looking at just beautiful, bright colors. I feel like there's something to that, but I don't know if I'm making that up, or if it is a made up concept, or do you know what I mean? So anyway, those are the new starts. I'm going to just review my plans and I'll be right back. All right, everyone, let's talk about some plans. Aren't plans so fun to think of? I just love planning out cross stitch. I don't over plan because I also just kind of like to stitch what I want when I want, but it's kind of nice to have just a couple of goals in mind. First things first, though, I have today and tomorrow to catch up on my section of Kain Kapal, which I have not done yet. So Kain Kapal, I'll hold up what I have so far. This is a pattern. It's a traditional Indonesian pattern by Java Stitches on Etsy. And this is the pattern that I took in January, and I divided it up into sections. So we're doing a section, anyone can join in. You can still join in. It's not too late. We're doing a section every month. So this border, let me see if I can find them all. This was January. The blue border was January, red border, February, side border, March. So now there's a big ship motif here with different critters and all kinds of stuff going on. The first part of that here is April. So I've got to do, it's just this little set. It'll be teeny tiny because it's April, May, June up here. So it'll fit right in here. So I need to do that one. It's been really nice splitting this up month by month. It makes it way more doable. And some of these, like these top two borders, I finished in just like an afternoon, a weekend afternoon. So it's really quick stitching. And it's kind of nice to diversify who we're stitching. This is a total Stitch Asia piece, #StitchAsia. And yeah, I'm enjoying this one. I just need to get myself together for the April section and work on that. Sarah at ModCross is working on this one too, and Sarah's finished this month's section, so you can check out what that looks like. And then Miriam, I think Miriam said it's on. Miriam's doing this one too. Miriam, who's Marumi Crafts, and Miriam, did you say that it's coming? I think it's coming up as a WIPGO pick. So Miriam will be catching up on this one too. So you'll check out if you want to see some different examples of what it looks like. You'll be able to see that. So definitely we'll come back to this one, and gotta get this done, Ashley, and not just come back to it. We'll do that. The numbers that were called for WIPGO. So that one number, as I mentioned, was the central square. And for that one, I just need to stitch on 5 days on any of my 5 WIPGO pieces. But the actual 2 projects that were called are ones we haven't seen in a little bit here. So first one is this one, Turkish Delight by Ink Circles. Let me hold it up a little closer so you can see. I love this one, and I haven't worked on it since last year, so I'm so glad it's come up in the WIPGO call. But here's what mine looks like. And I pretty much love it. There's that like beautiful bright blue, and I love all different kinds of teals and like oceany greens like that. So these are all speaking my language here. So let me just show you. I have the info here on a card. So it's in Ink Circles pattern. It's 195 by 139. The bright blue, that brightest blue there is that Silks for You PR075. And then limited edition teal by Color and Cotton. It's actually a not so limited edition teal because I think I saw it again on their website at some point. That's that kind of sea foamy green. The fabric itself, let's hold it back and see what it looks like. It's like a terracotta, like a clay color. Ooh. I never noticed how like washed out it was down there. And I wonder, okay, so it's Fiberlicious fabric. And it's called Rustic Fall. It is called Rustic Fall. I love it. I love these sort of clay colors. terracotta and clay. That's so, so pretty. And I'm wondering now, so picture, oh, I bet it's just how it dies. I bet it's just how it died. Okay, finish your thought. I thought maybe because I stitch in hand, so I roll up the bottom. So like I roll up the bottom of my stitching, right? And I just hold it, like I hold it like this while I'm stitching. So then I thought, well, I think there's a disclaimer on Fiberlicious fabrics that it's not color fast. So then I was wondering, have I been, by holding it down here, have I been wearing away at that fabric? I mean, look how pale it looks right there. Never noticed it before. Is that possible? Or could it just be the way it's dyed? I'm not really sure. I mean, I never noticed color coming off on my hand, so I don't know. That's kind of one of the reasons I often stitch with Picture This Plus and with Color and Cotton, because both of them are color fast. But I love so many colors by Fiberlicious. There's so many, especially like the beautiful oranges and yellows. There was a yellow from, when was it? Maybe this fall. It was like something gold was the color. It was so, so pretty, but I didn't get it. Didn't really need it, so I didn't get it. Okay, so Turkish Delight is my one WIPGO pick, so we will see some progress on that one. I have to do 5 days on that one. And then the other one that came up in the call is the bookcase by Galeana. Isn't that so lovely? Every time I look at it, I think, oh man, this is so pretty. So it's a bookcase, and it's got all these different beautiful, intricately kind of lacy stitched items on it. It's got picture frames and vases and candle holders and books. And then the furniture item, the like kind of wardrobe thing itself, the bookcase itself is really beautiful. So this will be nice to stitch on. So this is, oh boy. Okay, it's a Color and Cotton, and it's a 20 count. See how dark it is? It's fantastic. I'm using 1/1 on this 20 count. I almost never stitch 1/1, except if it's sulky. This is a meadow, something meadow is the color. It's a DMC color variations. Isn't that so pretty? You're seeing some really nice variegation here. It goes from kind of like a pale green to an olive green to a beige to a blue, pale blue. All pale tones. Very pretty. And I think it looks great on this dark fabric, whose name I'm forgetting now. Onyx. I think it's Onyx by Color and Cotton. That's what it is. So looking forward to coming back to this one. This is another one where it's another pattern where you're not entirely sure what it's going to look like until after you step back and see it. You know, you put a whole set of stitches in, then you step back and see it, and you're like, oh, wow, that is so nice. So I'm very excited to stitch on that one. Okay, and then another plan I have is, of course, it's a new start. I'm going to try, I want to have a month where I don't do any new starts. This was supposed to be like a whole year of doing no new starts, but whatever. That went down the drain a long time ago. So I am joining a bunch of people who are stitching this Manor in Hand. I love this new pattern. This was a new release during Nashville Market this year. And it's a Jeanette Douglas, which I'm super excited to do. And it's like a tribute to cross stitch. So it's got pretty stitchy related motifs in there. And I can't wait to start this. So Beth, who is Steadfast Stitcher, is doing this. Mary, who is Daydream Stitcher, is doing this. I know Miriam's going to start it too. I've picked out, I have most of the stash colors. It's called for DMC. Is it all DMC? Well, there's some Classic Colorworks and Gentle Art and another brand too. There are some fancy flosses, but there are DMC conversions available. I am just itching to do some kind of color conversion on this, but I don't know. I kind of don't want it. I know Jeanette Douglas is like just a legend, right? A cross stitch legend. So part of me is like, don't mess with the legend, what the legend has set up. Just do how it's set up. I don't know. And I'm also still picking fabric. I don't know what fabric to use yet on this. I don't believe there are any fractional stitches, but there is backstitch because it's the word cross stitch in multiple languages. And both Miriam, who is Marumi Crafts, and Laura Checo. Laura, what's your Instagram? I think Laura might just be Laura Checo. I'll link Laura's Instagram below. They both very generously charted the words for cross stitch in Farsi. Miriam did Farsi, and then Laura did it in Japanese too. So if you want to diversify your languages on this, if you're stitching it and you want to diversify, and somebody has done it in Ukrainian too, I think, because it's on Russian in here. It might be Beth, actually. It might be Beth found somebody to do that. So it would be really cool to find even more languages. And I don't know if anyone speaks anything that you would want to chart, go for it, because it'd be fun to fit it in somewhere. So I don't know what to do with color changes on this. It's basically reds, blues, brown, like brown to black, red, blue. I don't know. There's enough color variation where I should probably just stick to the original. I'll go look at fabric. When I finish this today, I'm going to go look at fabric. I think if I choose my fabric, I will feel better about the whole thing. So I think that's just what I need to do. Just pick a fabric already. Look at, isn't that first motif so pretty? It's a hoop with some cross stitch on it. So that's part of my initial look through my stash for fabric. I wanted to make sure to find something that white would stick out, would show up really nicely on that. So I need to do a little bit more looking before I settle on that one. And then, okay, last plan I'm going to show you. This is I feel sort of silly even talking about this because it's so early. I'm going to see if I can put together a little image file and throw it up here if I can. I started making myself a packing list for StitchCon. So Sarah and I are going to StitchCon. We're driving over to Cincinnati. And so I started making a list, and I think it was totally driven by, everybody who recently went to Stitch North. And then there have been all these Flosstube videos with like recaps of that Stitch North. It sounded amazing. I won't get to go to Stitch North until I'm retired because it happens during the school year, and that's kind of out for me. I can't do this stuff during the school year. I can only do summer stuff. So I started making a little packing list. So what I wanted to do is try to slap it together on an image file and throw it up here and show you, because I want to get your ideas too. Do you have anything you would recommend? Have you done anything like that, like a stitch retreat before? I feel like I've been watching so many videos about retreats now, and I try to make like a little note on good ideas for things to bring. I did also make a decision. I don't think I'm going to participate in the Smalls Exchange this first time because I just have too many other things I want to stitch on. And so I won't have that ready, but it'll be fun to watch. I'll watch everybody else do that. And I'm just excited. I'm excited to meet people. I was watching, I think it was a video by Liz Matthews. I've seen so many now. I'm having trouble keeping track. Liz Matthews, a recap video from last year. And that video, if you are like me and you're very nervous in social situations, and especially large groups are very hard for me to be in. I feel lost, and I feel like when I'm in a large group, conversations just are running, and I don't feel like I can keep up. I don't feel like I can contribute. I'm much better in small groups. But Liz said some really wonderful things about being amongst people who also love stitching, and how that's a plus, and how friendly everybody is, and how you really just kind of, most people there don't know anybody when they get there, and then they kind of just meet people while checking in at the table, or just kind of plop down at a seat at a table, and then you meet people that way. So it felt very reassuring watching that. So if you are going to StitchCon or any other retreat, and you feel anxious about it, I think that would be a good video to watch. Liz Matthews' StitchCon recap video. Because I remember thinking like, oh, this is kind of nice. Now she has a skewed perspective because she's a designer and a lot of people know her. So I think it's very easy. Like a lot of people probably approach her and talk with her. So that's a little different vibe. But I think the main idea is still the same, that it's about being open and including people and finding some new stitchy friends. So I'm looking forward to that. So those are my plans. That's what I got. And I think we are done. So I'm going to throw this thing together. We're having people over this weekend. So we had a short day at school today. So I wanted to share some things with you. And Steve and I will be here watching some things and stitching. Then we're going to get the house tidied up tomorrow to have people over. And maybe do a little, poking around in the garden. And before we know it, it'll be summer. Waiting for that. Hope you all are having a good week and you enjoy your weekend. And, I'm always around to talk cross stitch. Anybody want to talk cross stitch? You can find me either down below in the comments or on Instagram. I'm at Nith-ya Vishwanath. I'll link that below too. And I hope to check in with you all again real soon. The end of May will be here before we know it, but we'll get to enjoy 31 fantastic stitching days before that. Okie doke. I will see you soon. Have a good day. Bye.